want to introduce you informally to everyone, to all of you. You'll see in a few minutes, she's full of life and full of energy. And that's the thing which comes. I've seen some of her videos, and all the people who are looking out for a better relationships, be with your videos on, audios on. And she's a ace, I would say, in relationship, whether it be marriage or parenting or dealing with children. It comes from her deep experience, and it comes from her deep experience of life rather than just theory. She learned six step theory, which she will share with us, of course, in brief. Because I'll be putting many questions at the end. As usual, all of you can ask your questions, whether it be marriage, even if it is divorce, okay, even any other area, so be open to ask questions, and I'm super excited to be with you, Susan. And yeah, especially that Bollywood part also, which you will share in at some point. And you have been to India 57 times. Well, that is a huge amount of time. Every year, almost every year, I've been going to Canada or to US, mostly Canada. So it reminds me that you have been coming here and I've been going there, but not 57 times. That's definitely not.
We were crossing in the air.
Right. So I make my yearly visit there. It's like a darshan there, and you have a darshan here. So we can start off with as you said, a kirtan, a small 4-line kirtan, and then we start. And she'll end with the Lakshmi Puja. So, and you're not wearing a sari today, so because Vasudha is not there.
Exactly that. Exactly that.
Yeah. So yeah, you can start right away. Yeah.
So I mean, I can certainly play you my music, but perhaps this is not the day for it. I listen to so many wonderful kirtanwalas. I listen every morning and every night. Then it's great joy for me.
So just 4 lines, whatever comes to you, and there's no this thing. You can sing yourself ex tempo.
No, I will give you the great Krishna Das.
Krishna Das.
America's most wonderful kirtanwala. So hold
Yes,
on.
yes. I've heard a lot about Krishna Das. Yes. I've heard a lot there. And Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, he says, sings a lot on that also. Great. All right, so we'll start with your journey, Susan, of how have you landed up into uh, parenting, children, divorce, marriage, couples, that journey from where you were to where you are now. A little synopsis you can start, and then thereafter the extempore questions will be there. Yeah.
Well, I was like so many of us, this innocent child thinking life would be easy, and never having any clue that it would be as difficult and challenging as a climb up Mount Everest, and having, Sherpas, but not quite the most skilled Sherpas in my home family to help me in a way besides the most practical things. So I had that. I was very blessed. I had a very affluent life. I had no reason to think that life wouldn't be easy, except I had major health issues. I couldn't breathe properly. I had asthma. I had to devote a lot of time to figuring that out, which I did. But my aunt and uncle had been to India in 1971. My uncle was the chairman of Bloomingdale's, the most famous department store in America, certainly at the time. And my aunt said to me, "You must go to India. You must go while you're young. Go now." So I was a fashion designer. I got a freelance job. They took me to Delhi for 7 weeks, and my life completely changed. What was the change? It was the minute I landed in the Delhi airport, I went from New York City, superficial, affluence and unhappiness to even the simplest person on the street around the airport had a smile compared to what I had seen at home. It was an Alice in Wonderland experience.
Wow.
Right through the mirror. And it was shocking for me. I had no idea. I just was like this every minute. I was like agog is the only word.
This was in
And
Delhi?
the first trip was in Delhi only, yeah. And I would go to this factory where I was having the samples made on Asif Ali Road, and I would then go off to the Imperial Hotel for lunch and swimming. Then I'd go back to the factory. Then I'd go to this hotel where they were housing me. And I was in bliss. I was in bliss. I had never felt so happy in my life. And I had had many experiences. I had been on the Grand Tour of Europe when I was 13. I had gone to a very prestigious school. I had gone to a very prominent college. All that I could care less.
Wow.
None of it touched me even that much, right? I wouldn't give one paisa for what I had experienced that so many people in the world thought was thrilling, right? But for me, the minute my plane touched down, and when I left after that trip, when the plane took off, I cried. And I'm not a crying kind of person about some, small things. So I was like, wow, I guess I have to go back again. So in 1975, I got another freelance design project. And during that trip, I took my fiance. He started a business importing Tibetan turquoise jewelry, etc. Just the beads. And I said to myself, I bet I could make this into a big company. I bet I could. So I had a near-death experience at the Ashoka Hotel in New Delhi. I was alone. My fiance hadn't arrived. The client was off somewhere. And, I was luckily in a hotel and not just a house. But I went into the beginning of that white tunnel. And what surprised me, there I am in New Delhi, is Jesus was in the tunnel.
Wow.
I mean, there are many people I might have expected to see, deceased relatives or something, or just white light, the divine light. I didn't expect to see Jesus. I'm not a Christian. But that was what happened. Jesus came to give me a choice. And I ultimately decided it was not my time to go. I had a mother who only had me as a child. I had a grandmother who had said the most painful thing in life is to lose a child. I couldn't destroy their lives. So I said, no, God, thank you so much. I really want to stay with you. I really do. But I can't do this to my family. And boom, right in that second, I slammed back into my body, and it was not fun because I was very, very ill. I had a horrible, horrible flu. So that was the experience.
Wow.
You don't have this in New York City. You don't have this where I live now, Santa Barbara, California. These things don't happen.
That was
But
your
they
first,
always happen to me in India.
that was your first near-death experience. Yeah, and then you had a car crash also, something like that you were sharing.
I've had, yes. And Manoj-ji and I were discussing, how do we get to that place where we move beyond the typical ego? Well, things happen and you have a choice. Something happens like what I experienced, and then you can either shut off and forget it, or you can allow it to change your perception of the world. And that was my choice. I was starving, not just hungry, for unique, magical, metaphysical experiences. I had my first experience of God when I was 5. I had it was extraordinary. I was 5 years old. I was very unhappy, difficult father, unhappy father. And you know how it is. Most of you have had some horrible experience as a child. Seems most of us do. And I suddenly had this experience as I was praying. How does God understand my prayers if people all over the world are praying in different languages? Because I had already been outside the United States when I was 4. So I already knew that there were people from other countries praying in different languages. How is that possible? And I saw this vision where we speak our native tongue and it goes up towards God, which I, as a 5-year-old, envisioned going outside of the planet towards the sky. And that somewhere out there, it was changed into God's language. That I didn't have to worry about learning another language to get my prayer across. I just had to speak in a state of love.
Wow.
And that I learned, I was very lucky when I was so young. And that is what I have come back to again and again, which has saved me in these other 2 life or death moments.
You can share about the car crash also.
The reason I want to share this is because the skills I'm offering you today are what saved my life.
Wow.
And you can't learn them as the car is going out of control. It's too late.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
know, I couldn't say to myself, oh my goodness, what oil is there on the road? The car is spinning out of control. This would be a good time to learn brain breathing. No. Or, oh, I really wish I had learned the 4 questions of inquiry, but I never bothered. So luckily for me, I had these skills. I immediately went into a state of literally suspended animation. Time can slow or stop if you have certain skills. And I was able to decide what did I want to do, just as I had in the near-death experience. So first of all, I decided I needed to get out of everyone else's way. I could not live with myself if other people died. So I got to the far left lane. Then the car's still spinning. Okay, now what can I do? But the time is slow, almost stopped. I couldn't figure out how to slow my car down. It was a brand new car, but it was in cruise control. It was on automatic. So I have all these airbags. I said, I will go into the center divider, not straight on, but at a 45-degree angle. That should keep me safe. And these 3 airbags will protect me, I thought to myself. So I go into the center divider, the car stops, no airbag. The airbags were not deployed from that angle. I thought, uh-oh, now this is a little, this is a little scary. A man stops his truck in front of me because my car's sticking into traffic. He said, can I move your, sure. So that was an angel who came to rescue me, right? And everybody called the police, and the police came and they stopped traffic, and they somehow, I don't even remember, moved my car off to the right side, which is where the exit was. And lo and behold, I was perfectly fine.
Wow.
Now, I assumed that I had bruises all over my body because I slammed into the wheel. I made 3 phone calls I needed a friend to pick me up and drive me home because I'm in the middle of nowhere. It's 9:30 at night. There are no car rental places open, too far to take a taxi, no Ubers in those days. Make 3 phone calls. First person says, of course I will come. You do know it's Valentine's Day and I'm on a date, right? So I said to my friend, of course, let me see who else I can call. So I call another friend. He said, of course, I will come. I'm home. Don't worry about Valentine's Day, but I'm awfully far away. It could take me an hour to get there. Let me make another call. So I called the last person who was my boyfriend, whose car would take 15 minutes to get to me maximum because he lived right there. Of course, he was with his current girlfriend. And he said, of course, we will come. So here I am. I've survived death. My former boyfriend, who was a difficult person, stops what he's doing on his date, and he and his girlfriend come and pick me up.
Wow.
So what do I do in the back seat of his car? I'm giving them the relationship coaching support. They're having a fight with each other. So there I am.
How many years back was this?
This probably was maybe 2009, 2010, something like that.
Oh.
But I'm giving them relationship coaching from the back seat of the car. And then she was a nurse, so I was delighted she was there if I was going to die, or who knows what. So they asked, do you want to go to the hospital? I said, I feel fine. Let's go to my house. But when I got there, I said to this woman who I'd never met in my life, but she was a nurse, I said, would you come into the bathroom with me? I think I should check to see if I have terrible bruising. And then I said, you can decide if I need to go to the hospital. So here's a woman. She's now seeing me naked. She never met me in her life. So there were no bruises.
Wow.
She said, I don't understand. We saw the car. The car was entirely totaled. I said, it was a miracle. Time stopped. I was protected by a bubble of Shakti, life force. That's all I can say.
Beautiful.
That's what these skills did.
And that's the one of the n amount of miracles you have gone through.
One of many, exactly.
Of the many, you can share a few more miracles which has happened, and especially that person of the pistol incident, gunshot one. You can share that one.
Okay. So just to give you some quick background of that, I was invited to speak on a very famous television show in America at the time, Montel Williams. And it was a show about people who've survived domestic violence. And also I teach women how to avoid and survive domestic violence. So, the limousine picks me up at the airport with my uncles, and he takes me to my, their home, and we meet him for dinner. And the first thing my aunt says to me is, she said, I don't understand. Why are you invited to be on a show about domestic violence? We don't know anyone who's ever experienced domestic violence. So I said,
She was in.
well, actually, you do. Me. And she was disbelieving. She just couldn't imagine. I said, yeah, it happens. Doesn't matter what we look like. It doesn't matter what our background is. It can just be, it can be bad luck. It can be karma, or it can be, in my case, a man who was a brilliant doctor who was given 2 steroids by his medical doctor. He was allergic to them, and he literally went crazy. Bought a shotgun, picked a fight with me about nothing. And there was the gun. And it was, the shot was in the chamber, the safety was off, and it was 3 feet from my face. Wow. And again, I used the skills that I'm offering today. I calmed him down. But first, of course, always we calm ourselves down before saying a word. And it was as if it never happened. Now, of course, I very, very quickly left my home, took my dog, took my things, and never to return, and got a divorce. But in that moment, you know, the car's going out of control. The person in your living room is going out of control. Something is going out of control. The only possibility you have for survival is self-soothing and then soothing the other person if there's another person involved.
Beautiful, beautifully articulated, Susan.
What I teach is you have to have whole brain functionality.
Beautiful.
It's not enough for me to be a deeply spiritual, long-time meditator.
Right.
It's not enough for me to have lots of communication skills. I also had to be able to logically analyze the problem. Look at the facts, look at the figures, look at the dollars, look at the numbers. Now that's a third part of the brain. And I also had to be able to take safe, evasive action, whether we're talking about the car crash or whether we're talking about the situation with my former husband. So you have to be able to understand all four parts of human mental functionality and develop them as needed, because only 1% of us humans is born with equidominance with all four parts of the human brain. And I'm a specialist in Herrmann brain dominance, so I can tell you, I've rarely, in the thousands of people I've worked with, I've rarely found anyone who is equidominant. And that's why I've worked so hard with certain parts of my brain that were less active than the others, because you can do that. Neuroplasticity, you can keep improving your brain.
So if you can share a little bit on the four parts of the brain, just briefly, just.
Okay, can I share an image with you?
Surely you can.
Okay, that's the fastest way.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So this image, and let's see if I can
Yes.
move you guys over and get this up a little bit. Maybe yes, maybe not. I don't know. But anyhow, you can see enough of it.
Yes.
So we are here, all of us on this call, because we share the experimental self, the visionary brain. That's who we are. We meditate, or we try to meditate, or we want to meditate. We want peace. We want to connect with the divine. And anyone who wants this, just send me an email. I will send you more information than you even have time to read. Be my joy. And it's my name, Susan at susanallen.org. Just send me an email. You'll get it from me within about 24 hours.
Yeah,
So
we can all just, Swati, if you can just type it out on the chat box so people can get in touch.
thank you. Thanks. And I'm really excited to hear from you.
Yes.
So that's the visionary brain. Now, most of us on this call are also the red quadrant, warm, connecting. Manoj-ji is a classic example. Warm, connecting, friendly, loving. My friends Vasudha as well. My friends who are on this call as well. That's what that lower right brain is all about. But we don't have great lives if we're not also able to be rational, analyze the situation, be logical about it, critical in a positive way, not critical, judgmental, but critique a situation and know what is appropriate. Certainly, when you get to the bottom of the list, knows about money and knows how things work, that's certainly a crucial thing. And then the safekeeping self.
If you can just put that screen a little up, if you can.
For some reason, I don't know why it's not wanting to do that.
You can go.
I'm not sure why.
No, no, you go down and there is a cursor there. You can just enlarge that. No, down on the,
Okay, okay, let me try.
yeah.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. So the fourth quadrant, the safekeeping self, is essential if you're going to live a long, healthy life. I was telling Manoj-ji earlier, and maybe I told all of you as well, it started out I couldn't breathe properly. I had terrible allergies, then I had asthma. So I spent decades focusing on how to get healthy, using my logical upper left brain, the blue quadrant, using my upper right brain, praying to God about it, my lower right brain, who do I know? Who do I know that knows someone that can help me? And also the lower left brain operating in a consistent step-by-step way to do everything I could figure out to do to get healthy. Ultimately, I was introduced to someone who just disappeared the problem with my lungs, literally. But I had to get to the point where I was 56 years old to finally meet people who knew him. And then I had to be functional enough to take the steps to get there. So it's whole brain. Just as when I described the car accident, I had to have the experimental self skills to self-soothe, brain breathing, the 4 questions, so that I could be peaceful enough to move over to the upper left logical analysis of the cars going out of control, and the lower left, what am I going to do to be safe and survive? And lower right, who do I know who can help me in this situation and pick me up and take me home? So all of these things are required. And I mostly work with people with either serious, huge goals or terrible, terrible problems, which forces them to have serious, big goals. And so this is how we get there.
Beautiful, beautiful short explanation. Before we go into the sixth part, a little on the lighter side, okay? Uh, your Bollywood experience with Shashi Kapoor, and because everyone is connected somehow, just a little, and then we go to the sixth step after that, you know. And how and what makes you say that the most gentlest and most softest person is Prem Chopra? So and he has exactly opposite roles in his movie career.
Right. So you think the magnificently beautiful hero of all time, Shashi Kapoor, would be the one who is like that. No, life spoiled him a little bit too much. He was a nice guy. He was a sweet guy, not an angry guy. He was a sweet guy and certainly a beautiful guy. And very sophisticated and a very, very hard worker. And, a lovely guy. And I had the intention of meeting him because the day before I left for India, the very first time in 1972, I went to see Siddhartha, in which he plays Gautama Buddha. And if you haven't seen that movie, wow. Okay, that movie is certainly enough to understand the umbrella of different life experiences, or it was for me. And to go from being a prince, well, I said I grew up on Park Avenue, so I understood that, and then I was unhappy and I saw misery in life. Yeah, I understood that. And the movie was quite extraordinary. But of course, the takeaway was, I want to meet that movie star. Because I was only 22 years old at the time. That seemed the logical next step. So I actually had 2 experiences of running into him in India, opportunities in which I could meet him that I didn't take, but yet, because it was still on my mind, boom, I was dropping off a gift for friends at what is that hotel? The Sea something or other in Juhu, in Mumbai.
Sun and Sand, one is there, and one is Sea View.
It must be Sea View. Thank you. It's the one that's right over a rock, or maybe it's called Sea Rock.
Sea Rock, yes, yes.
Sea Rock Hotel. Okay, that was the hotel. And so I'm dropping off the gift and I'm leaving for the airport, and I ring for the elevator, and the elevator door opens. And I mean, I've met Indira Gandhi at a cocktail party, so I mean, I met a lot of people. So it takes a lot for my mouth to hang open before I can shut it, before the flies come in. I was like, It was a miracle, because in 1972, I had said this was what I wanted, and I had 2 opportunities that I didn't take, and boom. But I was leaving for New York, so he gave me his contact information, and I gave him mine, and I said I, travel to India all the time, but I didn't call. It just seemed a little, it seemed a little kind of obnoxious for me to call. Hi, I met you in the elevator. Will you offer me dinner or drink again? I was like, creepy. So I was going to Breach Candy Club with a friend, and I was sitting and staring straight ahead. The movie was going on, and I didn't even have to turn around. I heard the voice. Now, if you watch him in any film, don't look, turn around and listen to the voice. And I heard it, and my head swung around, and I thought, okay, Susan, God's message is clear. If you want something and you ask for something, and I give you 2 earlier opportunities to have something, for heaven's sakes, take the 3rd opportunity, or I'm not going to think you're serious the next time you ask for something. Okay. So we became very, very dear friends. And years later, he actually co-starred in a movie called Heat and Dust that one of my closest friends produced. And Merchant Ivory created the film, and they had been my very first bosses. I designed costumes for a Merchant Ivory film, very, very right after I finished design school. So I had a 4th opportunity of running into him because he was at the party. So when you ask for something, and let's hope it's something a little bit more important to you than this, frivolous experience, you stay focused, as I do all the time, because, Manoj-ji, you and I were talking about manifestation, but I like to think of it as miracles.
Miracles, yeah.
I mean, I've seen huge amounts of money show up for me. Unexpectedly, when I need it. Lots of money when you don't need it is not half as exciting as a smaller amount when you need it. I had a client who found something like $7,000 in an envelope on the ground when she was taking a walk, and there was nobody around. There were no houses, nobody to return it to. It was clearly a gift from God. I was with my mother when my father died. She was, mourning. It was very difficult. And we stepped out of the restaurant, and there was a huge gold bracelet on the curb, which was later appraised at $1,500. So I said, Mom, I know you're having a really tough time. Maybe this will cheer you up a little bit. It certainly did.
Yeah.
Not the value of it, not the beauty of it, the miracle of it.
The miracle, when you need it and it shows up. And you think of something and it shows up, and you really think, oh, I want this, and it happens. Wow, and it's happened, I don't know, countless times in my life. And it's happened to many people who are in this forum also. So we are on the same alignment, and it's absolutely. But I will ask you some questions on that once after the break. A little bit on your dear sweetest guy, Prem Chopra. It's off the topic, but I'm just making a little light, and then we go into the 6 steps and all those things, and people will have something great out of this. Yeah.
So one of my close friends was my assistant in Bombay, at Mumbai, and she was very friendly with a lot of the Bollywood people. And so she became very friendly with Prem. And I said, I'd love to meet him. Oh, fantastic. He'd love to meet you too, because I talk about you all the time. Fantastic, fantastic. The favorite story, he wanted to buy her a handbag because she really needed a new handbag. I was living at the Taj most of my years in India, in Mumbai. She said, I'd love to go to that handbag shop. There's one just across from where the hotel is, India Gate. So he's a really famous star. I said, should I get a hotel car? He said, it's just right there. It's just bang opposite. No, we'll walk. I'm so nervous. I said, I wanted to say to him, could we get those big Sikh bodyguards at the front of the hotel to come with us? I'm tiny and my friend Zenobia is tiny and it's only one, guy. He may be big and strong. So we go into the handbag store. She's shopping as if nothing's going on. She's just shopping and having a good time. And Prem and I are chatting. We're having a lovely time. And then I turn around towards the glass window of the shop. There are 50,000 people filling the square. And every one of them is looking at him through the window. So I said, well, now maybe you'll allow me. I'll just call the hotel and no need. So I said, okay, well, I'll walk on one side of you. So I'm going to protect somebody. And Zenobia will walk on the other side of you. And we'll, it's only 600 yards or something. It's very, very close. He said, Susan, we will be perfectly fine. Everything's fine. I promise. And he was happy. He was sweet. He was obviously concerned about me. He wasn't concerned about himself. And he was just the nicest man. And that's just one example.
Yeah.
I mean, one example.
I just wanted to tell, why I asked you the story about these two people is, how we hold impressions. We have seen Prem Chopra with every movie, he's the rapist. So that, even a layman, as a child, like I was 8, 10 years, and we would see all these movies. I was also from a little semi-Bollywood family. My father had distributed a few movies. So we'll get this impression. I always give this example that you see Sanjay Dutt in one of those movies, and he's a violent person, and you say, "Hey, he should be killed," in the movie, of course. And then you see him in the next Munabai, and you say he's such a lovely person. How our perception changes when we see movies. What about when we see real people? We meet one person, and then we set one impression, he's like this, and we hold on to the impression. We don't. I know someone who holds on to the impression. I said he was like that. No, he's not like now. No, he was. No, he is like this. He is. She is like this. She will never change. He will never. I said, what change? The change is happening every moment. If you see the change, that's where the whole miracle starts happening.
When we change, when we shift, which is all my work, is teaching people in difficult situations, or teaching people in terrible situations, or teaching people with huge goals what they do with themselves, that shifts everything. And it happens very fast. I also do a lot of work with what I call one committed family member to create sobriety in the family.
To create?
Sobriety. Stop alcohol, stop drugs, stop gambling, stop all that. So that is one person who makes all the difference. When I work on a marriage, I mostly work with one spouse because the other refuses. to have anything to do with the wife or the husband. I hate her. I hate him. I don't want it, you
He
know?
is the problem, or he is the problem, that way.
Exactly. So,
It's a
so I
common.
had to, I am that visionary person. I'm that yellow quadrant, first and foremost. So I always had looked for outside the box solutions. And the solution, first of all, was one partner, two are not required, two are welcome, but two are not required. And then the other thing is, in the old days before COVID, I can't drag my husband to see you. It's all over the phone, no problem.
Beautiful. So
Just
I'm
get
gonna,
rid of the barriers.
so we'll just take a 5 minute gratitude break. I'll invite Kapila with you, in fact, to do the gratitude together. And then I'm going to ask her some questions on marriage, on couples, on divorce, on relationships, on parenting children. And then, at some point of time, I'll ask her to even tell her the 6 step process, briefly, of course. And more, I heard that, you can even have a conversation with her. I was told 1 hour conversation if you want to, if you have this. So that's a great thing. I mean, that's a super duper incredible service she's offering. So take those things, but we'll take this after the gratitude break. Before that, like we just ended today, this part was, I remember Dr. Wayne Dyer's famous statement that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So when you change the way you look at people, the people you look at change. When you change the way you look at money, the money in your life changes. So everything is here, and she's going to provide us a 6 step process. Wait for that. We'll take a gratitude break with Kapila and her, and then we come back. Okay. Yes, Kapila.
Good evening once again, Susan. So we'll be doing a pause process. It is called segmented tending. You can just keep one hand on your heart and repeat after me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Last 1.5 hours
The last 1.5 hours
was the most beautiful 1.5 hours.
was the most beautiful 1.5 hours.
I accept whatever happened my way.
I accept whatever happened my way.
I also accept what didn't happen my way.
I also accept what didn't happen my way.
At least I could smile and laugh.
At least I could smile and laugh.
This is about past. Okay, we give a clearance to the past that whatever it is in my mind which didn't happen my way, I'm just smiling and laughing at it. Now, the second part is the present one. Make a mudra like this, Susan, with one hand, if you can make it like this. I'm free from all the memories
I'm free from all the memories
which used to create
which used to create
the feeling of fear,
the feeling of fear,
irritation, disturbance,
irritation, disturbance,
frustration, anger,
frustration, anger,
lack in me.
lack in me.
I act out of my nobodiness.
I act out of my nobodiness.
I am pure consciousness.
I am pure consciousness.
And now, with this step, we say, I am saying one of the 4 mantras. I am saying
one of the 4 mantras
1,000 times in next 1.5 hours.
1,000 times in the next 1.5 hours.
I am sorry.
I am sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
I love you.
I love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am attracting abundance of
I'm attracting abundance of
health, wealth, and relationships.
health, wealth, and relationships.
And last but not the least, the other hand also on the heart. And now creating the next 1.5 hours by declaring, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My next 1.5 hour is the most wonderful 1.5 hour of my life.
The next 1.5 hours are the most wonderful 1.5 hours of my life.
I would smile and laugh more.
I will smile and laugh more.
Thank you. That segment intending, that's a pause. We all do it together at least 10 times a day, Susan. It's a very small little pause we take to just reprogram and rewire our mind that everything is okay. We can just smile and pay gratitude to either the things. If happened my way, very good. If it didn't happen my way, very good. So in Hindi, we call it, in Hindi, the word is Prabhu Kripa and Prabhu Ichha. Prabhu Kripa means, you know, that whatever has happened as per my wish, it was my guru's blessings or the God's blessing, or something happened which was not as per my desire, it was my guru's or God's wish, and I surrender to that, right? So thank you so much for participating in this, and you can always introduce this thing to your team or your people who you're connected with via this platform.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, Manoj-ji.
Yeah, sent you a message. So this we'll continue. Kapila, would like to say anything?
Yes, of course. I'll just declare once again, those who have come for the first time in the Synergy program and are not part of our Live Life King Size, please write in the chat box first time and your WhatsApp number. I repeat, जो लोग पहली बार इस प्रोग्राम में आए हैं सिनर्जी में और हमारे लिव लाइफ किंग साइज का हिस्सा नहीं है, डीवाल के वीडियोस नहीं रिसीव कर पा रहे हैं या जॉय शॉप के लिंक्स चाहिए, if you need Joy Shop links which happens every day 365 days, just write in the chat box में लिखिए first time और आपका WhatsApp number. We'll wait for 30 seconds. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah. So you know what, we have this like we have a synergy with you or an interview with you or whatever you call it, a chat with you. We every Friday we have this with different Dr. Bruce Lipton, and a lot of people have come. We just connect with that. We have this like this going on 365 days every day. I mean, this is one day, every day, 7 to 10, the same time we have. So people just join in from all over and share this wonderful knowledge with everyone. And one of the programs we do is the Magic of Marriage 3-day residential, 3 night, 4 days residential program. So we'll start off with that question only of marriage couples, since you are a counselor, coach, and you give so many tips for marriage. So, in spite of so-called spirituality and all this, seeing God and all these things, yet every spouse and daga, 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 daga goes on, you know. So they have differences whether they agree or no, or they speak about or no. But I come across lots and lots of them because we have these programs regularly, and then they share that this thing. So, what do you think is the main problem, or how do you channelize that energy? A little bit on marriage, you can say. And when you cover marriage, even divorce is there. It's all that.
Well, first of all, Manoj-ji, I just want to acknowledge that you and I are so much on the same path that for many years I have been teaching one module called Magical Marriage.
Wow. Acha.
For many, many years. Yes, many, many years. So I loved hearing this. And I want to offer everybody, because it is the secret to saving your life, the secret to saving your relationship, brain breathing, which many of you will recognize as yogic breathing. However, what's essential about it is that we have hundreds of millions of people around the world practicing yoga, but I have never seen anyone except this one person, I'm going to show you a quick slide, who understood that she needed to do it in the Olympics before she was competing in the skeet shooting event.
Mhm.
She won. Quite extraordinary. I mean, just really so amazing. She won Guatemala a gold medal, set an Olympic record using brain breathing. And if you have a way of watching replays of the Olympics, you'll see this woman just before she stops to shoot. She's doing what I'm going to explain in a minute, which is really fast. You all know this if you're in India and you've ever heard of yoga, which is to say 100%, right? Many of you have learned about yoga or have even been doing yoga since you were babies. And for those of you who haven't, this one thing I think is so valuable. And you can do it lying in bed, you can do it driving in your car, you can do it in the shower, you can do it all the time in business meetings.
Wow.
And you can do it if and when your partner is in your face.
Mhm.
And it can save your life. So it's a simple process. You take a deep breath in with both nostrils. You hold it for the count of 3.
All right, I'll just pause here. I'll ask everyone, you can make us all do it together. So everyone just put on your videos so she can see everyone and do this for a few moments, minutes, whatever time. So you'll actually get an experience. It'll not be just information. You can use this every time. So I'm also part of the studentship. So I'm also doing it along with her. Yes, Susan.
Beautiful, beautiful. And again, I have a whole document about this. Email me, request it. It will explain what the brain does when you're doing this and why you feel peaceful and why you re-enter your body and why you get your power back. It has to do with deactivating the amygdala, etc. But you take a deep breath in with both nostrils. You hold it to the count of 3. And then when you let it out, if you're alone, make your mouth into a circle and create an actual whoosh. So now, when I work with people who are enraged, they are ready to kill their partner or their child or their boss. In a few minutes, their brain is reoxygenated, they're present again.
Wow.
This is amazing. It works. So let's just do it 2 more times and we'll do it in silence.
Do you blow hard or you just like this?
Blow hard when you're alone, but if you're somewhere, the beauty of this is you do this and nobody even knows. So you can calm a crazy person, but you have to be calm in order to do it. And this is the fastest way to get yourself back to peace, calm, power, and being in your body. You need to be in your body to motivate and inspire positive behaviors from other people. So this is the way. All right.
Beautiful.
And practice a couple of times. It's quite amazing. It's amazing.
When you breathe in 3 counts means or 3 seconds or 6 seconds or what?
As you wish.
As you wish.
Experiment with it because you will find, don't wait. The whole point is don't wait till you're angry.
Right.
Don't wait till your partner is angry.
So
Wherever you are, if you go and you buy some groceries, if you go to a restaurant, if you go and put petrol in your car, some simple little thing, right? Practice doing it in public because nobody will even notice. And you wake right up, you're back. And it's a wonderful thing. And the more you do this, the faster it works, the more effective you are in life, in every aspect of life.
Yeah, beautiful. I'll just share with everyone, just see, I mean, I'm telling everyone, we have this system, Susan, we call it the Leah 1 hour, or you can call it the golden 1 hour. Or we tell them that early morning you get up and use the first 1 hour for yourself, introspect. I mean, not for exercise. Of course, exercise is different, meditation is different, pranayam is different, yoga is different. But to contemplate and introspect what you learned. And we have this, we write it down in our to-do list, Microsoft to-do. So I'm just showing you and showing them rather that now, so I learned this from Susan. After this, I just forget it, you forget it, and it's lost. No, no, it's never lost if you document it. So I just want to show you. Here is where I documented it now. While she was speaking and I was doing, I've written here brain breathing. Okay. And what is it? Brain breathing. Here it is. Okay. Breathe in, hold for 3 counts, and breathe out, push like this. So what I'm saying is you learn so many things from everyone, imbibe, it's like I know a lot of you, Prakashji, you're writing it down. Yes, you write it down, beautiful, step number one, but then you review it. Are you reviewing it? Make that time. When do you remove it? When do you review it? So that Leah, the golden 1 hour, we call it me time. It's just me time, thinking, contemplating, introspecting, and just moving on. That just want to share that these small tips, like she is, oh, what is there? Just breathing. No, just experiment, see if it works, continue throughout your life. So you want to reduce your anger, disturbance, do this and see. Beautiful. How do you deal with difficult marriages? You have yourself gone through it, and you will be the best person to share.
Well, it's a very interesting thing about marriage. Are you capable of unconditional love? Very few people are. It took me decades and decades and decades.
Right.
And people always thought that I was capable of this. I had so many marriage proposals. That's what they thought. They saw, right? That I was this kind, loving person, which was true. This generous person, which is true. This cooperative person, which is true. All these things were true. Unconditional love is on another chart.
Right.
It's way, way, way up Mount Kailash, It's like a whole different story. So it was the result of decades where it's that balancing between wanting things to be a particular way and noticing that that's not love.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that's not love. Love is when you find that person who is literally okay with you, wonderful, joyous with you in all permutations.
Beautiful.
Not just on a good day, right? And I would say, tragically, I know certainly in America, 1% of the people who get married have even heard of what you and I are talking about?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they can do it. That doesn't mean they even want to do it, but they haven't even heard of it.
Absolutely.
So, of course, there's a horrible divorce rate in America, but India sadly is catching up because the marriages weren't unconditionally loving marriages.
No, in India, it is like this. Like in the Western world, the best part is I heard this survey. In America, 50% of the people who get married get divorced. If they get married second time, it's 60%. If they get married third time, it's 75%. So I said, I read this in the one of the books, which John Gray book or some book like this, who was written about 5 love languages. So but in India, what it is, we have this other thing. Actually, many of them are divorced, but they will not officially divorce. So, in the West, they are very open and they say, okay, 1, 2, 3, you don't get along, we move on, you move on, and it's, they have a trauma, they move on. Here, the trauma goes on.
They're stuck.
Inside, because of society, we don't move apart. We don't like to move apart. We don't say, and we don't like to even show that we have a disconnect. So I mean, I am one of those, we are one of the fortunate people that, we had this Guruji's, as he said, Prabhu Kripa, Guruji's knowledge, understanding that we are one of, I mean, we are not married, we say married forever. No, we are best friends. First is friends. Marriage is just a topping, it's like that. So, uh, what you said is yes, many of the people have not heard about this also, but can you define unconditional love? It can be relating to children, to marriage, to any relationship, let's say.
The reason that I teach all of this, the reason that I've devoted my life to this for so many years, is that you have to raise your vibrational state to a state, whether you're using Hawkins' chart or you're using Abraham's chart or some other chart. I live in positive expectation and belief 97% of the time on purpose, as the result of my commitment, my sankalpa, that I hope each and every one of us takes, the sankalpa that we are living in inner peace, that we are sharing it with others, that we are self-generating joy, that there is nothing that could possibly occur that blocks that gift. That is a gift from God, in my experience. So that's it. Now, if you're not in a state of positive expectation and belief, and that's the Abraham scale, and that one is number 4. So if you're, down in 22 where you're suicidal and hate everything, forget about relationships with anybody being anything but hideous. And your work is to get yourself up there. Your work is to come work with Manoj-ji, or work with me, work with somebody who has that track record.
Beautiful.
And don't think about unconditional love. It's not happening, right?
So I don't know whether you are speaking or I'm speaking, but we are in the same, it's the same thing. So you're speaking.
Feels that way.
What she just told Abraham is about Esther Hicks. With this terminology segment intending, the terminology I borrowed from her, and of course the practice we just evolve as we go along. And David Hawkins, Frederick Dodson, they all speak about this vibration chart, which I've shared with many of you many a times. So if you say, then we can a little bit of parenting and children, if you can just throw light on parenting and children. Yeah, because there's a lot of people have that disconnect with children, and as a parent you feel guilty, shameful, or the other way.
So now I'm going to share the work of Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of Nonviolent Communication. Yeah. One of my teachers and mentors, and a truly great being, a remarkable being who, I have friends who walked with the Mahatma. I have friends who walked with the Reverend Martin Luther King, and Marshall walked with the latter.
Before you show Susan, just tell me the name again. Marshall, what is it?
Rosenberg. Rosenberg, Nonviolent Communication.
And he Nonviolent Communication, NVC. I heard this from a lady from Russia. Her name is Nada. Do you know Nada?
I don't. But there are millions of us around the world who are specialists in this.
She learned it, and we just changed the name here. We use those many of those steps, not all, but it's a very deep process. But we call it high vibration communication, HVC. That's what we have changed from non-violent communication to HVC. My master Guruji, Shri Rishi Prabhakar, he had told me to do this program. He had done it, and he said, you must do it. And he made me do it with all the teachers, all the parents at that time. So
Beautiful.
Please share about that now. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Please share.
So Marshall said applicable to parenting. He did an experiment with 500 adults who had children. 499 treated their neighbors with far more respect and consideration than they ever treated their own children.
Wow.
I get chills. I mean, I've heard this before, obviously, and I'm repeating it, but I get chills when I repeat this to you. I get it. This is American people, certainly, but still, we don't have words for this kind of unconsciousness. But again, somebody who is way down on the Abraham or the Hawkins chart is living a life of excruciating pain. They can't love anybody. They can't love themselves. They can't love waking up in the morning. So we have to, I say, treat them as if I'm going to the hospital and visiting somebody in intensive care and understanding they're in a lot of pain. And then I just give that person empathy. And I learned empathy from Dr. Marshall Rosenberg. And how do I do that? I do that by giving myself empathy first, or brain breathing, which is faster. And then and only then can you have empathy and real compassion. I remember in Bombay a long time ago, I was with the sister of a very, 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 very famous guy, one of your many billionaires. And I was with her and I was with her husband socializing. And she said, I understand that my husband has other women and I love my husband. And I'm like, again, it's like when the elevator door opened, but this is another version. She really meant it.
Beautiful.
Now, no man or woman prefers that the person they love and adore is going to be sexually intimate with someone else. That's not anyone's choice. And, I have Krishna and the gopis behind me. I have a Pishwai behind me. And, Krishna could replicate himself for each of his, 500 wives. So each of his wife had him, for the whole night. But that's not what this guy was doing. When he was not with his wife, he was with this other woman. So his wife was in a position, you might say, suffering, lonely, lost, but she was not angry. She was not sad. She had clearly mastered her own mind.
Absolutely.
And this is what we each must do, because the day comes when we are leaving this three-dimensional planet.
Absolutely.
And depending on the bliss with which we are aligned, it's going to change, in the opinion of many people I respect, where we go next. Are we merging with the light? And I can speak to you,
Beautiful.
this audience. I can't speak to most Americans about this.
No,
but that's the ultimate reason. So we can merge with the light.
in fact, in India, we have this terminology called vairagya. Vairagya means detachment, So when, most of things we explain this in this magic of marriage, that we are first we get connected with body to body, then we get body, then you get prana to prana, then mind to mind, then heart to heart, and then soul to soul. So when you're connected soul to soul, then there's so much emphasis on the body. He is with that person, she is with this person. This disappear. You don't consciously do it because you are connected at a different plane. And those things is so tribal that on a body which is going to last a few years and is going to go, and we have so much fight and so much animosity with each other, jealousy and whatnot. And I know some people who are willing to kill the other for this. Kill means with the knife, actual documented things this way. And I said, but they do this 3-day thing, 4-day, and they have changed. The husband wanted to kill, documented to the wife, but they have changed, after 4 days. So the, non-violent communication, as you said, and those 6 steps which you have, I read those 6 steps, which we'll come to in a few minutes. It's phenomenal. Empathy and self-empathy and then empathy. It's so beautiful. So all of you, you just make notes of this, because what is unconditional love? Question yourself. Where is your relationship with your spouse? Is it body body? Is it prana prana? Is it mind mind? Is it heart heart? Or is it soul soul? When it is soul soul, it becomes a heart heart is Laila Majnu, Heer Ranja. Soul soul is beyond that. You simply drop all conditions of marriage. So yes, you can share the 6 steps, Suzanne, before we ask people to question. Yeah.
Okay, let me do that. And let's see about getting it. Well, I think you can see all 6 parts.
Yes.
So self-empathy, as we described, is you can use brain breathing. Brain breathing's faster. But in self-empathy, you connect with yourself and connect with your own feelings and unmet needs. I'm feeling angry because my need for respect isn't met. And again, a yogic breath. I'm feeling frustrated because my need to be heard isn't met.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm feeling sad because my need for a deep connection isn't being met.
Absolutely.
And those are just examples. You want to create a list of this that reflects what you're going through, either at home with your partner, with each of your children, if it happens, with your boss, etc. So you have that list ready at hand. You don't have to think about it in the minute. Then,
In fact, this need which you said, that was the most important part which I understood from this nonviolent communication. It took me actually 2, 3 years to understand the importance of addressing the need. Like, I'm feeling frustrated because my need for, not many people in India understand that. In the Western, it's more common because your language is more elaborate. But here, it took me 2, 3 years to understand this need. So I have made a simple formula for at least Indians, that need for love, you know. So at least everyone understand that. But if you can go deeper into that need, you get such beautiful insights that way. So great, that first one.
and you must go deeper, because Marshall taught me something that I found shocking. He said love is a combination of needs met. And I had a very sentimental view of love in those days. And I said, no, that's not what I meant. I meant that sentimental, romantic, when you feel butterflies in your stomach. He said, yeah, that's a combination of needs met too.
Absolutely.
Wow. He said, examine that. And I did, and he was right, because other people had different needs met that they called love. For some people, love is a transactional relationship.
Many of
They
them.
want a beautiful home. They want a safe financial future. And for them, that really is love, because they don't have the same needs that sentimental romantic people have. By the way, I'm writing my first romance novel. This year I've started already, about twin flames and soulmates, lifetime after lifetime, of course. But, when you talk about needs, it really helps to have the list. So Manoj, I'll send you the list from Marshall
Yes.
of feelings and needs.
And I will WhatsApp, or I'll ask Swati to WhatsApp you one video we just made last week on 7 needs of all couples.
Beautiful. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
It's the longest video I've made, 15 minutes, but I have never spoken 15 minutes as a stretch. But 7 needs, it's very, very precise, uh, connected with the 7 chakras.
That's the longest one you've ever made. I had a TV show in Santa Barbara for a very long time. So I have 300 videos on my YouTube channel, and they're all an hour, 58.5 minutes. And I did cut some of them into briefer ones, but I could talk for hours about this stuff. And if people have questions, I could talk for days.
I generally ask questions, and that's the way I've been taught. That's how we
So
have.
part 3 finally you're thinking, when do I get to say something to my spouse, right? Well, you calm yourself with self-empathy and it's silent. You focus on this other person with empathy until they are calm, until they can actually hear you. There's no point at all talking while somebody's upset. Don't even bother. And the fastest way to calm someone down is to imagine what they're feeling and needing, and imagine what they're feeling and needing, and imagine what they're feeling and needing, and don't speak about yourself until you've cleared the air. Let them speak, and it may take them days. For people who've been drinking a lot of alcohol, taking a lot of drugs, in a lot of physical pain, they may need weeks before they're ready to hear you. And that's fine, because if you do this, they will eventually hear you. And usually they haven't, right? So then finally, self-expression. I wanted to let you know that I've been feeling really frustrated because I need, and then whatever. And you have to come up with very subtle ways to express this so you're not hitting somebody over the head.
Yes.
And, I have books about this. I've written 3 books that are free downloads on Kindle, and one of them has a lot of different scripts in it. Then reflection. If you have a serious conversation with somebody, what are we going to do about the children kind of thing? Or where are we going to move? Or are we going to emigrate? Big stuff, Then it is the full 6-part conversation. And part 4 is where you ask if that other person's willing to let you know what he or she heard you say. And believe me, nobody does here.
I always say this every third day or fourth day, I'll tell when I have a conversation with a whole group of people, my end is, what did you understand? Can you just tell me? So when they say, then I realize that, oh, they not understood what I told, they understood whatever they wanted to understand.
Chota. So then you get to part 5, clarification. Thank you for letting me know that I wasn't clear, which is the opposite of saying, how dare you not listen to me? It's I wasn't clear. My responsibility as the speaker is to get the message across. It's not the listener's responsibility. So thank you for letting me know I wasn't clear. What I wanted you to know, and then don't repeat it like you're annoyed, because they're not going to listen at all. But say it in a slightly different way. What I wanted you to know is that I think that our son would be happiest at such and such a school for these various reasons. And I'm doing research about other schools, and I will get back to you in, 2 days. And then you move to the solution where you agree on something. The 2 people can actually agree, but agreeing is a process. Through an offer, I'll keep doing the research and then we can discuss it. Or would you like to do some research too? That's a request. And then we can discuss it. And from that place, a bona fide solution is found, not one that blows up in your face. Because as most people have found out, in difficult relationships, it's all about difficult conversations, right? And when you have a difficult conversation, it's because one of those 6 parts, you either didn't do it and you needed it. You don't always need 4 and 5, but you didn't do it. If you need it, then you have to do it. Or the person's really upset. This happens a lot if somebody's upset and doesn't have skills themselves. Then you have to go back, calm yourself down silently, and calm them down sweetly. And what I always say to people, if your spouse doesn't want to learn this, celebrate, because you're the one who's going to have all the power in your home. And they go, what? Huh? Yeah. If I'm with someone who's a student of mine even, but who really learned and really listened. And a few of these people are on today's call. Thank you so much. And if I'm having a conversation with one of them, they have power. So that's great. They know how to calm themselves down. If they would ever need to, which they don't, they could calm me down. And together we can come up with a solution.
Beautiful.
But if I'm working with someone who doesn't have any of that, I can get my preferred outcome inked in because I know how to handle things. That's why I work with so many entrepreneurs. I work with lots of entrepreneurs who are having problems either with their employees, with their customers, with their clients, with getting paid on time. All of these things immediately shift when you have these 6 skills. And I have a different version for business.
Beautifully articulated. Those 6 steps are wonderful. You can just share a little bit on your past lives if you have seen your past lives, why you are the way you are in this life. You had to go through your journey of marriage and this one and that one. But after 30 seconds, write down your questions. You can write it down on marriage, which normally people in India are very shy. No problem. On parenting, on children, on relationship, any relationship, and even on the miracles of attracting money. Okay, these 5 things, if you have any questions, write down. And yes, and Suzanne, if you can,
Yes.
we can exchange numbers. We can make a little group and exchange our videos with each other. It'll complementing both of us. I think we are on the same.
Love to. So I went to a meditation event in New York in 1982, I think. And it's the only time that they had an entry for men and an entry for women. The only time. So well, naturally, I'm a woman. But it didn't feel right. I mean, I had to go through the woman's arch, but it didn't feel right. I go, well, that's interesting because I'm clearly a woman and I'm a typical old-fashioned heterosexual woman. So I don't know what's this about. I got into the hall. I sat down. We did a meditation. I saw myself somewhere, apparently in the Punjab. I was a 10-year-old boy. I was the hope of the family. And I died. And I saw myself. Now, the reason that my dear friend Vasudha has to put me into a sari is I am happy in a kurta. I am happy. I met Indira Gandhi wearing a silk kurta that was long enough to be a dress because I had only come with one dress on this trip and I was going to the world premiere of the Gandhi film and suddenly I'm invited to a cocktail party, but I don't feel comfortable in saris. So what was that about? But so interesting that in my real life, I almost died when I was 22, had a near-death experience, and yet knew that I could not do this to my grandmother and my mother. The mourning would be too tough on them. And here we are. That had happened in a former life. I'm convinced that it was real. I'm convinced that it was real.
Beautiful.
I've seen myself at the feet of Jesus. 5 times Jesus has come to me. I'm not a Christian. Like 5 times. Twice in India, Jesus materialized in front of me. Now, there's no explanation except a past life. My dear friend Samantha, who's on this call, and Manoj-ji, you spoke to her, she knows that I had a life in China. Samantha and I had a life in China. She's seen it. I've seen it. We were, I don't know, the 15th wife of somebody, the 17th wife of somebody, the 250th wife of somebody, who knows? But that was the life. And I had seen this in 1980.
Hmm.
And then I saw it again through my friendship with Samantha. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So,
real.
Susan, before we take questions from everyone and those who want to raise your hands on the chat on the this one reaction, you can raise and we'll take questions. We'll ask Vasudha, who has introduced us to Susan, and for her to ask her question first and then go to others. But I just have this understanding, Susan, which is, I used to always wonder. Uh, I mean, everything was man-woman relationship. It was quite clear to me. I would always have this question of man-man relationship, girl, boy, woman-woman relationship. And this was always playing in my mind till few years back. This whole poop opened up in my, opened up means the understanding opened. Now, I would like you to share that and then we question. The understanding opened that, it is not about, see, why does man get attracted to woman or vice versa, and why this marriage is basically, it's not about man and woman, it's the male energy and the female energy. We are totally full energy, which is partly male, partly women, partly female. So I look like a man, but I have been a woman many a times, vice versa. You look like you are a woman, but you've been a man many. So it's the whole thing is about these two energies, yin and yang, merging together. So when you complete yourself, or when you are feeling complete with yourself, you don't need the other. You may have the other, but you are complete. So because we need the other, we get attracted to each other, and we want the other's energy to complete ourselves. The man wants the female energy, and vice versa. And if we learn in various ways, various techniques, various tools you give, we give, how to complete ourselves. Guruji has given us so many tips that one of them is this breathing and everything. You complete yourself, the other doesn't exist or need is not there. And yet you can be together. It's not like that. So anything on that you would like to say? And then, of course, take questions from others. Yeah.
In about 1999, 2000, I suddenly went to an altered state
Mhm.
in which I saw the sap in the tree. It was everything I had read about from every guru I have read, right? I had never experienced at that level before.
Mhm.
And it happened when I was getting into a car, leaving the spiritual bookstore in Los Angeles. I had to drive home, you know. I was a better driver. Well, I said, I have an appointment with my personal trainer. Maybe I should go. So he said, you were 30% stronger that day.
Mm.
And here's a guy who never heard of meditation in his life. I'm explaining. I can see the air. I can feel the whole thing. So in that state, having a partner would be absurd. I mean, what would I do with that? Why would I do that? It would only bring my vibrational state lower, right? Forgive me for the frog in my throat. So I found at that point, 1999, 2000, that was really the path that I preferred. And I took a few segues into intimate relationships for different periods of time since then. But for me, the real juice of life in this lifetime, at this time in my life, has been to be in the state of bliss, move my vibrational state up, be able to share that with others, and alleviate their pain and suffering by sharing the tools that work. Now, that's a decision for me, but in India, the first 20 years is for school and the next 20 is to be a householder. And then here I am, then for God. So it's a normal thing in your country.
Yeah.
In America, we're perpetual teenagers. They're 90 and they're still looking for a new boyfriend.
Yeah. Right. Guruji would give this little joke. Jokingly, he would say, no, man, he lived so much of his life in America. So he's in America at, when you'll see 70, 80 years, the man is holding the woman's hand and they are going on this. In India, you see, they are doing the same, going to Rameshwaram, this temple, that temple. So that
At
was,
least they're preparing for the next phase. Unfortunately, what we see in most marriages and relationships
yeah.
is not that they're hand in hand, but one person is pulling the other along.
Yeah.
So
I
that's the choice.
Hmm.
That's the choice we need to.
No, but actually, to me, honestly speaking, it's too simple. Marriage is too simple. If you just drop your, this logical, that rational mind, and just move on, and both, of course, both sides. Otherwise, it's a real hell. All right, we'll ask questions, and whoever wants, raise your hand, and then if we don't have, then we have some on the chat box. We'll ask Vasudha to read it also. So Vedasi, since you're there, you raise your hand. Let's hear. Okay.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
So I could hear partly my battery died in the middle and I was traveling. But when I came home, mom told me something about you talking about writing a book on twin flames. So I wanted to know if that's a fictional book or that's your experience or what exactly the book is about.
So I entered the Romance Writers of America course at the beginning of the year. And I said to them, everything in my book is real. They said, what do you mean? I said, well, I've lived a very long life. I've had a very colorful life. I don't have to sit there and invent stuff. I've got experiences. I've got memories. It's all real. They were, really? So yeah. So it's all real. But of course, you have to make it a little bit. I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody. That's my nature. But they've been drilling it into me that I have to have some dramatic things and some, twists and turns. And so that part I'll hopefully make up. I don't think the two things I told you about my own life that were pretty horrific, need to be in there, but maybe that's what I'll put in. Thank you.
Amazing.
Beautiful. Yes, Vasudha, any question from you? We thank Vasudha. She is the one who introducing us to Suzanne, and it's a great introduction. Yeah. Would you like to ask some question, Vasudha?
For Susan, I don't have any question, but Susan, since you talked about non-violent communication by Dr. Rosenberg Marshall, which we have both done it and experienced, that is the non-violent communication is a key of all the relationships to make it better and better in life. How he gives the example of wolf and giraffe and all in a simple word to solve this problem. Can you explain that? Is it possible?
Yeah, sure. So he worked with a lot of children, not just adults. So he enjoyed puppets and he had a guitar and he was, your typical 1970s guy in America. So he sang folk songs and used puppets. And the giraffe is the mammal that has the biggest heart. So loving communication, he described as the giraffe. And he said that people who don't use loving communication, they just have a communication problem. They're not wrong, evil, bad, all the things we tend to think. They're not. They don't have the vocabulary they need. And so he called them jackals. And for some people, it was helpful, but I did 300 TV shows, mostly about communication and relationships. And frankly, I didn't use the puppets because I wanted to be sure that people, grown-ups, understood that this was for them. And of course, if they wanted to teach it at home with their children, of course they could use puppets. Puppets are fun for everybody. But this is so much literally the agony that people face in their lives 7 days a week, often 24 hours a day, blaming the other person for their pain. And guess what? I walked into those relationships that caused pain. And I didn't walk out immediately. My first marriage, I looked at my husband as we were getting married. And I said to myself, Susan, you have made a mistake. This is going to be great for him. This is not going to be great for you. And I was right. But I got into it that way. He was a good salesman. That was the trick. He was an excellent salesman. And I got out peacefully. I got out peacefully, and that's what's important. By the way, I am a divorce coach. I am a mediator, but I am the specialist in no court divorce. And I've mediated divorces all over the world, just as I've mediated reconciliation all over the world, because people are people. It's all the same.
So beautifully articulated.
The next question is from Pranali Patil. She's saying, are marriages predestined?
I believe that some are. That electrical spark you feel when you meet somebody? Beware. That electrical spark, in my experience, simply means that I have known this man before in a previous life. In that first marriage, at one point, I saw that we had been in Greece together. We had both been boys in a school, and he had been a bully then. And nothing had changed, So that was predestined, but I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the training to recognize it and not move forward, which I have now, because I've not married many people who proposed to me. I was telling Manoj-ji, 2 men proposed to me on my first date with them at the restaurant, one before the food was even delivered.
Lucky
Yeah,
girl.
really. I was crazy. And the waiter says, what would you like to drink? I order wine. He orders wine. The waiter comes, and this man who I've known for like 10 minutes starts to stand up. I said to him, please don't. He said to me, you don't know what I'm going to do. I said, I really do. I really do. And he gets very huffy. I was going to propose to you. I said, yes, I know. So please don't. And thank you. That's very sweet. And let's just have a quiet dinner. So
he was
must have.
He was carrying a diamond ring for you.
Please, right? But he must have had that spark. He must have had some experience that this was the one, which was not mutual at all. I didn't have any experience except how strange, how totally strange, this is so bizarre. But that spark can get us each into a lot of trouble unless we take the time to find out, do this person's needs work with my needs? They don't have to be a perfect match, but if this person is an athlete and I don't understand sports at all, I was a dancer, I was a cheerleader. Okay, I could cheerlead you if you're an athlete, but I don't really want to spend my life doing that. So what are we going to do? Be at odds. Or maybe somebody's idea is going out all the time. Maybe somebody has this huge need for socializing when I have a huge need for learning and introspection and personal evolution. Where are we going? Well, we may be going places, but not together. So, yeah.
We'll take another question, Gopal. You can ask. We'll take verbal questions because Susan, make the answers short, so we'll have many questions.
Okay.
Yeah, Susan. So I think it is the continuation of what you were trying to explain. So my question is like uh, about the expectation, right? I mean, when we talk about marriage, right? I mean, each partner has different expectation, and that's what you were trying to kind of allude to. So, I mean, I want to know a little bit more, like what is your thought, right? I mean, based on how do you manage this? How do you, or what are your thoughts around this?
And is this your lovely wife?
Yes, is.
And we are being fascinated. We do love Manoj a lot because it has been a 1 month ever since we did this magic of marriage course. I'm into, so right now my daughter, she's in India, and she never seen me and my husband in such a beautiful harmony. So I would
Ah.
yeah, I mean to say we're in a different mode, different stage. And I thanks every day Manoj a lot for creating such a difference in each and every's life. And I would
I
recommend
get
him
that.
to do lots of this kind of program. I mean to say people are desperate.
Suman, romantic.
I can hug him and give him such lovely. Yeah, you can.
She
That.
said that
The answer to the question, and it's the most serious question for most people, is to have clarity about your own needs and understand you have a preference that someone else is meeting those needs, but they're your needs. And that goes for everything. Every need you have. If you believe it's her job or his job to meet those needs, you are in big, big, big trouble.
yes.
Because nobody's committing sati anymore, so forget it. So you've got to be able to meet your own needs and motivate and inspire the other person when and if, and figure out a way and create cooperation. And that's what the 6-part conversation is about. So you really look at what you're feeling and needing and what she is feeling and needing, Gopal. And together, in a non-negative emotional way, and certainly without pointing fingers, come up with a solution and make it a lifetime of experimentation too.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Susan. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you.
Yeah. So anyone has any questions, raise your hands, or otherwise we'll read the ones which is there on the, like Julie asked, is there any remedy you have for any soul contract person who just wants to trouble you, to leave you peacefully?
Yes, I have a very dear friend, Howard Wills, who is a famous person who disappears horrible diseases all the time. And he has channeled prayers that are about forgiveness. And they work miraculously. Forgiving myself, forgiving others. And we do it with the whole lineage. So when you think about a soul contract, high probability this has been going on lifetime after lifetime, and probably throughout your lineage. And the experiences of my lineage, it's millions and billions of thoughts, words, and deeds. So people have harsh, cruel, critical thoughts about us. And they say, if they do, things about us and to us, etc. So I do these prayers every day. Takes about 7 minutes in the morning, 7 minutes at night. And they're free. You can download them. howardwills.com, WILLS. They're the most powerful way I've ever found to clear out these soul contracts. They work. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah, Nina, would you like to ask some question in the dark, but ask?
Yeah, so accepting a situation in a positive way to whatever is happening is the secret, is right? That's what I got the crux of.
So
Like-
that's the first step. So if an elephant is, God forbid, standing on my toe,
Yeah.
I have to accept the fact that it's happening, because otherwise that's just crazy, right? However, once I accept it, I have to get myself in my body and my brain. I have to calm myself down. I have to use whole brain functionality to solve the problem. Am I going to get a forklift to move the elephant? Am I going to get the elephant trainer to move? All these options are always there. But if I'm busy saying, he shouldn't, he shouldn't, he shouldn't, I'm never going to get a solution. And so accept what is, because it already is, and it's insane not to, in my opinion, and it's powerless not to. And then immediately go into brain breathing, because it's the fastest, easiest way to wake up, be present, and then look at your options. Logically analyze the problem, look at who can help you solve the problem, look at outside the box solutions to the problem, figure out your action steps, all of the above.
And the way you do the brain breathing is you breathe in, hold 50 seconds, and then
You breathe in through both nostrils. You hold it to the count of 3. Whoosh out. And as you whoosh out, you're literally letting go of all the misery, suffering, whatever. But remember, you have to learn how to do this when you're alone. But if you're in a conference room with your boss, or if you're sitting in front of, a very important person, you're not going to be making a big whoosh sound. You're going to do it invisibly, but you have to practice alone first.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, so Kapila, any question from you?
There are many questions in the chat box, Manoj-ji. Shall I read them first?
Yes. Yeah, you
Please.
ask. But we'll make the answers short, Susan.
Yes.
And, if you need more of an answer, get in touch with me. I will take the time gladly. I will answer you fully. So
That's
for
wonderful.
today, fast.
That's wonderful.
You have to give your contact. Someone has put it earlier. We can put it again. Yeah.
Yeah. So Suresh is asking, then can you give a short answers or a one-line solution? What is the reason of divorce increased in India? I think Manoj-ji has already answered, but let's hear it from you also, Susan. That why the divorces are increasing in India or particularly in any other countries also.
Well, for how many thousand years, the idea of marriage was not this romantic idea of marriage. It was, you're in that caste, you marry someone else in that caste, your family arranges it, you don't see the bride or the groom. So it was a difficult situation.
Yeah.
And to make the transition into modern days where you have dating apps, of course, there was going to be a critical load of separations and divorces because suddenly people had other options,
That's right.
It's like, when I went to Chennai and I saw that you could get pizza, Pizza Hut. I was all excited because I'm, vegetarian. Pizza, great. The opportunity is there. People buy it, something they might want. Same thing with dating. But the real question is, some arranged marriages are magnificent.
That's right.
Among my closest friends, or a couple from Mumbai, magnificent marriage, arranged. It's just the question of who's doing the arranging. Do they consider the needs of the people? Do you have the right to say, you have to have the power of veto. Otherwise, it's challenging.
It is. It is. And I always jokingly mention to we all are like, my age is like 45 plus. So we all have a 20 years plus marriages. I say everybody at some point of time had the notion that the other person would be better. But now we have understood everybody is same. So don't say that, okay, let me try this shop pizza. This would be tastier. Every pizza more or less tastes the same. So I think that comes with experience also. And Ashok ji is asking why marriages starts dying after a few years. Or there is a drastic reduction of spark in life. What could be the reason for that?
I teach Tantra. I teach Tantra with my clothes on and my clients' clothes on over the phone. Nobody's touching anything. It is an understanding of how to enter into a deeply loving, passionate state and connecting in a deeply loving, passionate way with the partner that you choose. That's what's missing. But you guys invented it. I've been to Khajuraho 3 times. You invented it. So
We lost it.
anyone who has a desire for spark, you're in the right place. It's, I mean, I can teach you, honestly, but you're in the right place. So it is that, as Manoj-ji said, it's the physical tingle you feel when you're approaching that person, near that person.
Correct.
But then it's also needs to be the spiritual connection.
Right.
It needs to be an intellectual similarity that you have to be on the same page, body, mind, and spirit, all the chakras. And for me, the chakras need to be up to number 10. That's me personally, and people say to me, huh? What? Yeah, all the chakras, all the way up here. So depending on the needs of your partner, you're going to have to evolve so that you can provide an authentic, lifelong spark if you want to.
Yes. And I think it's more of a self-work because if I'm not dependent on other person for the needs, everybody, Manoj always says, you be in a state of joy, what other person is bringing to your life is icing on the cake. They are not creating the joy, they're just adding the joy. That makes a lot of difference. Thank you so much. And Mulk Raji, if you have a question, let's take you on the spotlight. Yes, Mulk Raji. Unmute yourself.
Mulkaji, before you ask, I'll ask everyone because we are coming to that ending part. So before everyone is before everyone is here, how many of you? This is a common question always. How many of you are willing to host Susan on her next visit to? No, you write on the chat box from where? From where? That means,
Bangalore.
yeah, no. You write on the chat box so she'll know that how many people, that's the beautiful part of India, that everyone is one family. And yeah, you come. So you have Kapila, you can read out from where not people are there. Of course, in Mumbai, we are there. We are in Mumbai in Shivaji Park. You can stay with us and so many more places. Let's see. Yeah.
So sweet. You're all so sweet. Thank you.
So welcome to Nashik, Mumbai, Gurgaon, Pune, Bangalore, Thane, Katarkhadak, Indore, Toronto, Solapur, and Houston, Germany, Amravati, Ajanta, Alora, Aurangabad. Wow. And yes, more of Alangar, Nivasa.
And even I have been to Pune, and even I have been to Aurangabad. Yeah, good. Thank you. Yes, you have a question, sir.
Yes, unmute. Yeah.
My question is how forgiveness works. Firstly, it works on us as emotionally, and then also by chemistry also, because some chemical changes also. Does it affect the person somehow whom we are forgiving, because he is not aware that we have forgiven him?
So, two-part question that I'll make 2 fast answers. This gentleman, Howard Wills, cures cancer by eliminating it from the lineage through forgiveness prayers, and heart disease, and my lungs are perfect now, etc., etc. So the forgiveness prayers heal the body of the person saying the prayers. I've seen this for 19 years, thousands of people. Simple, simple prayers. Now, this man, Howard Wills, has a gift that I don't possess. So when somebody has these terrible things, I send them to him. I don't attempt to disappear these horrific diseases. However, for me, it creates peace and health in my body, peace and health in my relationships. They feel the vibration. How is it possible? Today we have one of our guests is my dear friend Arno Jaffe. Hi, Arno. And there are 9 videos on my YouTube channel in which I interviewed Arno about motivating and inspiring his son, who at the time was deeply troubled, to return home after many years and get healthy. And so there was no communication in the beginning. And in a very short period of time, days, not weeks, his son called the mother, and then Arno went up to San Francisco at his son's request and brought him home. I have seen this happen hundreds of times, that the husband who's moved out and has blocked the wife's phone will not answer a text, will not, suddenly, I don't know, Susan, he showed up at the door and he apologized. So the vibrational state that each of us is shifts as we practice forgiveness of ourselves, forgiveness of others, ask others to forgive us. And if we focus on the person's actual name, so let's say if there's someone in your life, sir, who, this is applicable to, then you would say his or her name. And please forgive me. I forgive you. Let's forgive ourselves. And there's a couple of pages of prayers I can send to anyone who wants them. And you do that, and you just are a different vibrational, loving energy than you were before you did it. And I do it twice a day. I do it in the morning. I do it at night as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We have this practice of gratitude. We call it lotus gratitude.
Thank you.
Lotus gratitude, yes, we do that.
And, we have this lotus in the morning. You open from Nitya Shanti. We learn, and we just say 10 gratitude points in the morning, visualizing. In the night before we sleep, 5 of what went our way, 5 it did not go our way. Thank everything. Forgive yourself. I said, like you said, in that empathy, self-empathy. So most of us land up criticizing ourselves in shame, guilt, So first thing we need to do is we need to first accept ourselves the way we are, however so-called bad and good we give these labels. Then comes the outer expression, which happens naturally. So I would just like you to, some people are asking your WhatsApp number, or even I would want to send you some videos and receive some from you. So I don't know, it's not there. In
I'll tell you. No, I'll just say what it is.
Yeah.
I sent you.
Okay, you can tell for other people also. Yeah.
So you have it or you need it?
Swati, you can send me at least. Yeah. And if you're okay, then by email or however people want to contact you.
Email is much better for me, obviously, because, getting hundreds of WhatsApps in a day or 2 days is not helpful because I have a business that I have to run and I have to, work in addition to this. So if you send me emails, I promise that you will get your questions answered and you'll get these tools, because I teach hundreds of tools. So when you tell me your problem, then it becomes very clear which of the tools is most valuable for each of you.
Beautiful. Yeah. So any last question, or rather I will take one, we'll take one photograph first. Okay. So everyone get ready to take a photograph. First of all, put on your videos, and first we'll take our photo. You have a permanent smile, so that doesn't matter. Yes. And at the count of three, yes, you're always smiling, so no need. Okay. Yeah. And we'll take everyone's photo. Can you all put on your videos? And with the heart, of course. Put on your heart. Yes. And we have, at the count of three, give a big, big, big smile with white teeth. 1, 2, and 3. Yes, we can see your color of teeth. We have a few people in the West who are here with us also. So Jagdish ji, so many beautiful things you can share a word or two. And I want everyone to, share what you learned from this couple of hours with Susan. So what did you learn or what did you realize? If everyone can share whose videos are on, raise your hands and share. We start with Jagdish ji. Yeah.
Thank you, Susan, very much. Wonderful communication and 6 steps communication methods that you have told. And your presence is very touching, very heart-loving. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Vasudhama, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Susan, I've always been listening to Manoj-ji telling me all this, but when I hear it from someone else, I believe him also a lot more. Because I so always think that he's just saying, like good with however the person is, look at the better side and blah, blah. And I was like, listen, you are a saint. You don't expect normal people to do all of this. So it's good too.
And the dynamic of this is the more famous someone is, the less their own family believes it. True.
Thank you.
No, that's
And
that's
you said that they love neighbors more than children.
No, that's where you people come as a great rescue to all of us.
Loved the Eureka moment. Loved it. I mean,
No, you are so expressive, so expressive. I mean, the way you do like that, I mean, it is so beautiful. And that's something we can learn, that, how we can be so expressive, just like a child. Guruji always says that be like a child, and that's the one which comes around in you. It's too beautiful, yeah.
Well, just remember, everybody, this is the after me. This is not the before.
Right.
I spent $1 million and more of my own money studying with great teachers since 1972, before many of you were born. Always studying. And any of my old friends who've known me in the 60s and 70s and 80s can tell you, well, she was trying to be like this. She wanted to be like this.
So my learning from today's session, Susan, is overall learning is that we do misunderstanding our own self. Especially when we look at relationships, I think we are not understanding our own emotions. And that's the reason we try to pile it up on target the other person that, oh, you are not fulfilling my needs, or I'm in a lack or somewhere. Because we get too entangled in our emotions or the drama of life, we just can't witness it and let go. We just have to act on everything. We have to take one side, this is right and this is wrong, this is good and this is bad. We just can't be neutral. So I think it's more about understanding our own self, and that is a journey. That is a sadhana. That's what you said, that you have spent so many years, so much of money just to understand. And it's common for everyone. It's not that what you have understood, what I'll understood will be different. It's common. And then we talk about 7 steps of learning. You have become probably one with what you have learned. And we are in the process of becoming one with what we are learning with Manoj-ji on this platform, right? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for adding that, because what you're describing is you started with the spiritual visionary longing, the longing for God, the longing for peace, the longing for joy. But if you don't have the consistent action capacity, or if you lack the biochemical balance to be sufficiently functional, or if you lack the logical analytic brain that allows you to absorb learning and data,
Absolutely.
you don't reach it. So what I'm really thrilled about being here with this group is you have all of that. An incredibly loving, happy group of people who are serious, really serious about reaching the highest levels of peace and joy, and you are. It's wonderful.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
What, you know, one of my former clients who's a friend, Rob, called me yesterday and he said, no, but what are you doing for fun? I said, well, I just explained what I'm doing tomorrow. It's like the most thrilling thing. I'm, you know, going to be on this wonderful course with Manoj-ji and my friend Vasudha. He said, oh, I said, no, for me, Rob, this is, you know, my greatest joy. This is exactly heaven to me, you know.
So beautifully expressed. Yes. Yes, Dave, would you like to say something? He's my brother from Bangalore.
Hi.
Hi,
How are you?
Susan. Great, doing great. Susan, just wanted to ask one small thing. You're saying you could see your past life. Would it just be a dream? Or, I mean, how do you substantiate it being true and a reality?
Well, of course, you know, there's no absolute evidence. But when people I have been close to pass away in my family or my friends, they have each visited me in my dream state. I practice lucid dreaming. So I wake up in the dream, and each of these is a different experience. So my uncle comes back to me and tells me he's fine, and he's in an executive suite in heaven, just like he was in Bloomingdale's. His daughter, my cousin Peggy, dies, and she comes in my dream state, and she's in Hawaii on a vacation because she always loved vacations. So it's the same with my past lives. Each one has been totally, totally different. And yet each one has some reflection on decisions and choices I've made in this lifetime. Is that helpful?
No. How do you substantiate? I mean, and that it is true. Like, I mean, it should just be a dream. Maybe in the night, you just dream something and wake up and, like, you know.
So I'd like to add,
Oh,
yeah, I would like to add something like this, Dave.
please.
This used to happen to me many a times a few years back, till you know, the moment I dropped my logical mind and I said it can be true, then I started to have more of these. Then I said it is true. When I said it is true, then it started to happen more and more. And now I don't bother about, as I speak to my master Guruji every day. So many, like Jagdish is there. He's saying, "Oh, you know, we have been grown up together with him." I don't bother about others. I simply go along and I know it is true. It's true for me. And whether you believe or no, it doesn't. But more and more such experiences happen. Am I true, Suzanne? The more, you know, the magical experiences.
I had a bilocation experience that I was able to substantiate. So maybe this one will be interesting. So I was in the Delhi airport many, many years ago, 1982, and a famous guru would be leaving his body that year. And so I'm walking through customs passport control, and there's nobody there. This is real. There's nobody there. But that's weird. But what's really weird is this very, 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 very famous gentleman in orange robes who I've never met in my life is coming towards me, and he's alone. And this is a person who doesn't travel alone. We're the 100 people entourage, right? But in the airport, he's alone. And he sends a ball of light into my heart, into my chest. And I feel it. And then I go on my merry way. And I think about it, but it doesn't make a big difference. until I moved to Santa Barbara, 2002, I think. I meet a woman I know from that lineage. She tells me about her seva sitting outside of the house of this man in 1982 when he died, and that he never left the ashram that whole year. And she saw him every single day. He was always there. She had the seva to wait on him. And so she knew for a fact that what I saw, the person I saw, the bolt of light in my heart chakra was a bilocation. And of course, after that, she said, oh, I could call 10 people. They were all there. They will tell you. They were in the ashram in India. They saw him every day. It was bilocation. And so just like you, Manoj-ji, I just said, well, let go of disbelief, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a magical world. Let's experience and let's enjoy this magical world. One last question, Ashok, and then we thank her. Okay.
Wonderful insight of our entire journey. Just want to ask about this past life only. What is the process to find out your past life? Is it a hypnotism or something else?
Say that again, the last part, Ashok.
What is the process of finding out your past life? Is
The
it
process.
just a hypnotism or something else?
Well, you certainly can learn self-hypnosis if you choose. Self-hypnosis is easy. Anybody can do it. You know, go on YouTube. I've done it myself. It's very, very simple.
Okay.
But you don't have to. You have a deep experience with your guru. You have a deep experience with God. You can simply ask to be shown. You can, the whole fun about life is to ask for what you want if it's important to you and stay focused on it to some degree and have it manifest. That's how I live my life. That's how I've been living my life. That's how my parents lived their lives. That's how my grandparents lived their lives. So, my parents were born here, but my father's parents were refugees from the Ukraine. My grandmother my mother's family was born here, but her husband, my grandfather, he came from the Ukraine. So these are people who had difficult lives, and they just prayed for that they wanted and asked, and it appeared. So if what you want is to see your past lives, make sure you ask every day until it appears.
Wonderful. So, Susan, one last question for everyone. How do you, you say about money, so how do you attract the $1 million which everyone wants generally?
Or lakhs and lakhs of rupees.
Yeah, lakhs and lakhs of rupees.
Well, you have to use whole brain functionality. So let's talk about the founder of the Leela hotel chain. If you're familiar with Mumbai and you're familiar with the Leela Hotel, and they have various ones, right? Because that was my garment supplier in Mumbai back in the day. He got off the train after the Indian Army with 5 rupees, with a commitment to become a very, very, very rich man. He married Leela. He says all of his fortune, Mahalakshmi smiled on him, gave him Leela, and everything came from that. Her family had a logical way of producing wealth. They were in the textile industries in Kerala, where he was from. But he used his whole brain, and he was a devout guy. So devout. He wanted to immediately drive me to an ashram. The minute he met me, he wanted to take me, And so he used his whole brain. He prayed for what he wanted. Amazing people skills. I mean, amazing people skills. Incredible genius. He became one of the senior people on the textile board. He made, all sorts of rules and regs for the Indian government. And he had an incredible work ethic. And little by little, he got richer and richer and richer and richer. One day, the car that came to pick me up was a Rolls Royce. It wasn't an ambassador anymore.
Mhm.
And he said to me, one day we're building a hotel. I said, where? Where are you building? He said, and they have a beautiful house right near the international airport, beautiful Dutch colonial. He said, right here. Right here? He said, yeah, you don't know it, but the international airport is like just over, I said, oh, okay. It all seemed beyond me. But go online. The Leela Hotel in Mumbai is right where their house and property was. He was thinking about this, envisioning it. Now, I've been friendly with a lot of Indian billionaires, I'm fortunate to say. Ashok Birla and his wife, who, perished tragically in a plane crash, were very dear friends of mine. And Ramkrishna Bajaj and his wife, Vimla, very dear friends of mine. But that's inherited wealth, so that doesn't count. But I have many friends in America who were born poor and made millions and millions, and they have one thing in common. They loved the idea just exactly like Captain Nair of Leela. They loved the idea of envisioning wealth, dreaming of wealth, planning wealth. Every morning they would wake up, they would lie in bed, they said, and they would think of it for 30 minutes every morning. What's going to happen today that's going to bring me wealth? What's going to happen that's going to be exciting and thrilling and business and money? So I never had that mentality. I have to get into that mental state when I need money to arrive. And for most of us, it doesn't happen in that fast. So you have to start to shift your mentality, shift your vibrational state up the emotional guidance scale, set your goals by day, month, year. I receive whatever the amount is, and then come up with a strategy that's going to get that for you. And in the meantime, you always have to have a means, because it's very difficult if you're expecting it to show up in an envelope on the ground, like my client did. It happens. But, I buy lottery tickets. I don't depend on that for my food, right? So that's fun, but have a means, have a business, have a job, have a something.
Right.
So I have a lot of skills. That's my Manifesting Rapidly program.
Beautiful.
Because in Manifesting Rapidly, you have to be able to take every single person who wants your skills or your product and communicate it in a way that they understand you're there for them. And every word you speak has to be about them. The big mistake people make when they want to be very wealthy is they make it about themselves. Do we care? No. That's a key. And again, I have all these tools and skills. I have 300 videos on my YouTube channel. I've got 3, and that's all free. I've got 3 ebooks that you can download on Kindle for free. I've got 165 articles on my Substack. You're welcome to all of this. It's all, my gift. And if you want me, one-on-one, then it's a different arrangement. Let me know.
So beautiful. So beautiful. So I would just like everyone, just to know that the what, why, how chart, like Prakash ji has written, creative visualization, all these things, but you need to spend time for that. So the golden 1 hour, we call it me time, we call it Leah time, whatever it is you do, connect with Suzanne and get the best of everyone. So everyone just can now unmute and say thank you all together in your own special way to Suzanne only. Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Suzanne. It
Suzanne.
Thank
was
you,
very
Thank you,
Suzanne.
Suzanne
wonderful. Thank you
ji.
very
Wonderful,
much.
Suzanne.
Very
Thank you,
much.
Suzanne ji. Thank you,
Thank
Suzanne
you,
ji.
Mahalakshmi.
Most welcome to
Thank you,
Bangalore.
Suzanne
Thank
ji.
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Suzanne ji.
everyone.
Thank
Oh,
you.
so
Thank you
much.
for
Thank you
your
so much.
unconditional
Very
love. You are
Thank
enjoyed
great
you.
and a
Love
beautiful
you, love you, love
soul.
you.
and
We
really
all love
Thank
you
you.
so
Thank you.
much. God bless you. You're a Mahalakshmi.
Mahalakshmi has come, Preeti ji.
Wonderful, Suzanne. Thank you so much. And it's been a really vibrant, energetic, super session. And we all, I'm sure, enjoyed all what you had to say and share with all of us. I'm sure many of them will connect with you. And as usual, like, marriage on the relationship part, people are little hesitant to declare in front of people. So they'll connect with you one to one. And we appreciate that. We respect that
And
also.
it's all confidential.
Yeah.
Everything that everyone tells me, I keep to myself. It's all secret, except, Arno is willing to go on a video. That's different. But for everybody else, it's all secret.
Absolutely. So, all right. So, thank you so much. And I'll ask Preeti, you can just, we end always these sessions, synergy session with some meditation, something. So, she'll just play some affirmations, meditations, and that's how we will end it.